Welcome to the ScaleUp Club Monthly Podcast, where we discuss the challenges and triumphs of scaling a business. I'm Kevin Brent.
And I'm Granger Forson. This month, we're diving into a crucial element for any business aiming for growth: leadership.
It's not just about managing, it's about inspiring, empowering, and creating a vision that everyone can rally behind. As your business grows, so too must your leadership. We'll explore how to adapt and evolve your leadership style to effectively navigate the various stages of scaling.
It's a journey, and we're here to help guide you through it.
So, Granger, let's start with the fundamentals. What exactly is leadership?
Well, Kevin, Jim Collins defines it as the art of getting people to want to do what must be done. I think that's a powerful statement, and it highlights a few key things.
Absolutely. First, it's an art, not a science. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. Each leader develops their own authentic style.
Exactly, and like any art form, it requires practice and refinement. It's about finding what works for you and your team. The second takeaway is the motivational aspect, getting people to want to contribute, not just telling them what to do.
That's where the inspiration comes in. Aligning everyone with the company vision and making sure they understand the why behind their work.
Precisely. And finally, leadership involves defining what must be done. This means setting clear goals, developing strategies, and ensuring everyone understands their role in achieving them.
That's a great point, Granger. But before we can effectively lead others, we need to master leading ourselves. It's that old adage, physician, heal thyself.
Exactly right, Kevin. It all starts with self-awareness. Understanding our own strengths, weaknesses, and how we operate under pressure is crucial. We need to know ourselves before we can effectively guide others.
And how do we gain that self-awareness? Personality assessments can be a valuable tool. Things like DISC profiles or the Work of Leaders profile can help us understand our traits and how they influence our leadership style.
Absolutely. These assessments can highlight our tendencies, our natural inclinations. For example, are we quick to jump to conclusions? Do we struggle with giving praise? Knowing these things allows us to address them and develop as leaders.
It's about understanding the why behind our actions. Why do we react the way we do in certain situations? Once we understand the root cause, we can start to make positive changes.
And this self-awareness creates a ripple effect. As we become better at leading ourselves, we become better equipped to lead and inspire those around us. It's the foundation of effective leadership.
So, Granger, once we have a handle on leading ourselves, how does that translate into leading a team, especially as the business grows? The booklet talks about delegation and how crucial that becomes.
Delegation is key, Kevin, especially when it comes to those tasks we're not naturally good at. Early on, we might wear all the hats, but as we grow, holding on to everything becomes a bottleneck. We need to focus our energy where it truly makes a difference.
The booklet mentions these stepping stones of business growth: 3 to 5 employees, then 8 to 12, then 20-25. Each stage presents unique leadership challenges.
Exactly. At the 3 to 5 stage, it's very hands-on. Collaboration is easy, and if someone's off their game, the impact isn't devastating. But as you move to 8-12, things get more complex. Communication becomes more challenging, and systems need to be put in place. This is where delegating those things you're not great at becomes essential.
So what kinds of things should we be delegating at that stage?
Things like bookkeeping, marketing tasks if that's not your forte, even some aspects of customer service if you have someone capable. It's about freeing yourself up to focus on the bigger picture, the strategic direction of the business.
And then jumping to 20-25 employees, that's a whole new ballgame.
Absolutely. You need to start building a management team beneath you. You can't be involved in every single decision anymore. That's where developing your existing team members into leaders becomes vital. You have to empower them to take ownership.
It sounds like the way we delegate and what we delegate changes significantly at each of these stepping stones.
Precisely. The type of leadership required evolves as the business grows. Initially, it's about doing everything yourself. Then it's about delegating what you're not good at. Then it's about delegating even things you are good at, so you can focus on leading and empowering your team. It's a constant evolution.
So, Granger, you mentioned delegating what you're not good at. But the booklet also talks about delegating even the things you are good at. That seems counterintuitive. Why would we do that?
That's where the owner's trap comes into play. This is where we, as business owners, get so caught up in doing the things we excel at that we become the bottleneck. We think, no one can do this as well as I can. But that kind of thinking prevents us from scaling.
So, even if I'm the best salesperson, the best marketer, or the best product developer, I still need to let go.
Exactly. As the business grows past that 8-12 employee mark, your role needs to shift from doing to leading. If you're constantly doing the tasks you're best at, you're not developing the leadership capacity within your team. You're holding them back. You become the roadblock.
So, it's less about being the best at everything and more about empowering others to become the best.
Precisely. It's a crucial mindset shift. It's about recognizing that your biggest contribution to the business is no longer about what you can do individually, but how effectively you can enable your team to achieve collective success. It's about empowering them to be even better than you.
So, how do we make that shift from doing to leading? How do we empower our teams effectively? The booklet mentions a fascinating example from a submarine captain.
Yes, David Marquet, author of Turn the Ship Around, offers a powerful model for this. As a new captain of a nuclear submarine, he realized that the traditional command and control leadership style wouldn't work. He decided to try something radical, giving control and creating leaders.
That sounds like a risky move on a nuclear submarine. How did he do it?
He replaced giving orders with giving intent. It's a 3-step process. First, instead of giving direct orders, he communicated the overall goal, the what, that needed to be accomplished. Then, his officers would tell him what they intended to do to achieve that goal. It wasn't about following orders, it was about taking ownership.
So, more collaboration and less dictation?
Exactly. The second step was to encourage his team to think like him. He would ask, "What do you think I'm thinking right now?" This prompted them to consider the bigger picture, the strategic implications of their actions. They had to anticipate potential problems and proactively find solutions.
That's a great way to build strategic thinking within the team. What's the third step?
The third, and perhaps most crucial step, was asking, is it the right thing to do? This question encouraged his officers to think critically and ethically about their decisions. It fostered a sense of responsibility and ownership rather than simply blind obedience. They weren't just following orders, they were making informed decisions.
This concept of intent-based leadership is incredibly powerful. It makes me think about how the role of a leader changes as a business grows. In the early stages, we're often doing everything ourselves. The classic wearing all the hats scenario.
Absolutely. You're the technician, the salesperson, the marketer, the bookkeeper, everything. But as your business scales, that approach becomes unsustainable. You simply can't do it all.
So what needs to happen?
The shift starts with focusing on where you add the most strategic value. What are the things that only you can do? Those are the areas you should prioritize. Everything else should be delegated, automated, or outsourced. It's a critical step to taking yourself out of the day-to-day operations.
And then, as the business grows even further, the role evolves again.
Precisely. Beyond just delegating tasks, you need to start building systems and processes. You need to create a turnkey business, one that can operate effectively even without your direct involvement in every detail. This ties into the ESOS process.
And finally, at the highest level of leadership,
You become an ambassador for the business. Your focus shifts outwards, representing the company on a larger stage, building relationships and fostering strategic partnerships. You're no longer in the weeds, you're the face of the organization.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch on a classic framework that's incredibly relevant to effective leadership. Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
A timeless piece of work. Those habits, being proactive, beginning with the end in mind, putting first things first, and so on, provide a solid foundation for personal and professional effectiveness.
Exactly. They're not just about individual productivity, they're about building strong character and fostering genuine connections with others. And those qualities are essential for any leader, especially in a scaling business.
Absolutely. Things like seeking first to understand, then to be understood, and thinking win-win create a culture of collaboration and trust, which are critical for growth. I would encourage our listeners to revisit those 7 habits if you haven't in a while. They're powerful stuff.
So, to wrap up our discussion on leadership in the context of scaling up, let's recap some key takeaways. We started by defining leadership, drawing from Jim Collins's idea of getting people to want to do what must be done. We talked about the importance of leading yourself first, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and continually working on self-improvement.
We also explored how crucial delegation is, especially as your business grows. Delegating not just the things you're not good at, but even your strengths, is essential for avoiding bottlenecks and empowering your team. And we discussed the evolving role of a leader, from hands-on to strategic, and eventually to ambassador.
Right. And we touched on the powerful insights of David Marquet's Turn the Ship Around and how giving intent rather than instructions can transform a team. Finally, we mentioned the timeless wisdom of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits.
For our listeners who want to dive deeper into these concepts, we recommend checking out the work of Jim Collins, Stephen Covey, and David Marquet. Look for Turn the Ship Around and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Also, look into the ESUS framework for scaling up and explore personality profiling tools to understand your own leadership style.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the ScaleUp Club Monthly. We hope these insights help you on your leadership journey as you scale your business. See you next month.